Blade Runner 2 at the cinema. Cinemas at the moment are not my thing, so it's rare that I'll go and see a film at the cinema. I like sci-fis if they're well done, but you know, these days a lot of films aren't doing well at all at the cinema, so I often come back disappointed. And even though this film got several good reviews, I haven't broke the trend. So a lot of people have been saying that Blade Runner 2 is better than the original. I thought the original was very strange and slow-paced, but I can see why some people found good things about it. But I wouldn't say that Blade Runner 2 is better than the original. I'd say it's worse. It's not awful, but there's a lot of things. I kind of like the slow pace of it. I like the slow pace compared to all these crazy action films that just chuck CGI at you and fast cut editing and like all this, and then they force feed you sentimentality and regressive bullshit all the time. It's not like that. It's better in that way. It's slower paced and you can digest what's going on. The script is okay. There's a few weird things in it. People are saying that Deckard was revealed to be a replicant in this. I don't think that's true. There are a few lines he said. Shut up, car. That's the thing, actually. If you hear these city sounds in the backdrop here, occasionally a car will go past and it'll have this echoey reverb to it, like and then the Doppler, and it'll go off into the distance. And they had that as like a musical thing in Blade Runner 2, like this really aggressive, distant car acceleration noise they just put in the background. Like when you hear it in real life, it's really oppressive, and in this, it's no different really. They've used it as this device to give mood, like this musical device to give mood to the film. But every time I hear it, I'm just like, car, stop! Like, it's annoying, if anything. And I think some people might find it like interesting or stylistic. Also, they've taken elements of the Vangelis theme from Blade Runner 1, the style of that music, and they've turned it into this warped kind of dubstep, like whale thing that happens occasionally, that they bring up in volume right at the end, before the beach fight. I'm just going to point out a few select things, not necessarily in order. People are saying Deckard's revealed to be a replicant, I think because of one line where he points to his dog and his dog's licking whiskey up off the floor, and he's drinking some whiskey too, and he's talking to the main character Kay, and Kay's like, oh, what's the whiskey taste like? And he's like, I don't know, maybe you should ask the dog, he knows. Like, I don't know if that was the throwaway line that people thought, oh, Harrison Ford's a replicant. Like, because he's just joking because he's dealt with androids before. That's what I got from it. Was like, there was never any complete revealing line that said Deckard is definitely a replicant, which was what everyone hyped over in the original film, like, oh, is Deckard a replicant? And some people said the film works better if you think Deckard's not a replicant and a human, has more, you know, it makes more sense. And then other people are like, oh, it must be a replicant. I thought in the first film it was saying that he's a replicant because he's got all these weird dreams, like he's got dreams of like a unicorn or some shit. And then this police advisor guy who's following him around leaves these little origami unicorn things around, like telling him his memories are manufactured and stuff. So I think the first film sets him up as a replicant in my mind, and then I think the second film doesn't necessarily mention that he's a replicant. So you can take it how you want. It's not important, I don't think. You read the entire film in two different ways if you want, whether he is or isn't. Like, you can get different things from it, but overall it's not that important. There's a CGI Rachel in this. They get the original actress when she was young and they CGI her in that terrible way, like Rogue One did with Tarkin and Leia. Other people have said it looks good, but I just look at it and go, that's not real. there's something definitely still off about it. You can tell you know it's not real going in, and I don't know if that's the thing that makes me look for clues and to see if it's not real and go, oh, that looks fake. They'd have to present their CGI like that in a different scenario for me to decide whether I believe it or not. It's certainly a lot better than it was in Tron Legacy and other films before that have done CGI replications of younger human actors. There was little black robot things that floated around the main bad guy, and they were kind of annoying. Sorry, speaking of annoying, I'm going to shut this fucking window a bit. They were kind of annoying, these little black camera droid things. It's mainly because how do they fly? I don't know what that mechanical ticking thing is. I don't know what that is. Ignore that. How do they fly, these little black egg things with cameras on? They just kind of go silently, like a stereotypical future robot. Like, where it doesn't have like rotor blades like a drone or a helicopter. It doesn't have a little rocket thing. It doesn't have any method of flying, and yet it's going. I think I leave that explanation to, you know, the replicants are used off-world on the 9 conquered other planets that aren't Earth as slave labour, and maybe they've found alien crap that does stuff, and that's where they got this drone from. It just kind of annoyed me. The main bad guy was it Jared Leto? Yeah, I can't remember the actor. The main bad guy, he wasn't that interesting. He's blind, and to see, they plugged him into cyberspace with this little they put a memory stick behind his ear, and that's how he sees things. But generally he doesn't see, and he goes to feel things like clay, and he's doing that with his... there's the sickest scene in the movie, or the most kind of disturbing, is like he's trying to find the secret to replicant birth. He's like, I use these as slave labours off-world on 9 worlds, but I want to conquer the universe, and I can only make so many replicants, so I have to make a self-replicating machine. I think that's the term, if I remember my Arthur C. Clarke. A von Neumann machine, basically a machine that can give birth to itself and therefore exist independently of humans, so humans can die off and these things will keep going and replace them. And I think he's a human, so I don't really know why he wants to be replaced, but I guess he considers them his children. And the disturbing scene is like he's trying to find the secret to replicant birth, and so he's like, oh, his assistant's like, oh, the new prototype's out, we've built it now, you can have a look at the new version of the android and we'll see if it can give birth. And they like do this weird scene where a naked replicant falls out of a sack of amniotic fluid or like grease or something onto the floor, and it's basically like an adult woman who acts like a newborn baby, and she's like confused and doesn't know where she is and doesn't understand what's around her. She hasn't been taught anything, and he just basically cuts open her stomach to see if there's a baby there and goes, nope, that didn't work, and leaves her to die on the floor like this baby android human who hasn't known anything in their life, and yet it's kind of disturbing because they're already an adult but acting like a baby, and then all they've ever known is this pain as they've been slashed open. That was pretty sick. Apart from that, the bad guy's kind of one-dimensional. He presents Deckard, Harrison Ford's Deckard, who they bring back, with a new Rachel, who's basically like an exact clone model of the Rachel replicant. And that's the CGI Rachel I was talking about earlier. And Harrison Ford's sitting there confused for ages, kind of staring at it, going, I don't know my feelings about this. Yeah. And he's like, oh, I'm going to show you pain. I'm going to show you pain by bringing back the past to wound you or something. Here's a new Rachel. What do you think of that? And he's strangely affected by it. Like, I don't get that scene, because if I would have written it, the Harrison Deckard character would have just gone, well, it's not her, it's a different person. It's basically a different person who you've designed to look exactly the same in a clone. It's like a twin, it's not the same person, it's a different person. But he's sitting there confused, like he thinks, it's the same person. Maybe it's just because she looks exactly the same as Rachel, so she's evoking all these feelings in him because she looks like she did when he first met her. But I would have had him go, well, it's not her, is it? You've made a clone, it has different memories, I've had different experiences with this other person. I'm not bothered. They kill it anyway. Yeah, I can't remember his reaction to that. I think he was a bit overly emotionally moved by that replicant that they brought in. There's an awful lot of crazy martial arts kung fu stuff in this movie, and it's like, I don't know, it's probably not kung fu, but these martial arts fight scenes, they have to just like inject them into movies randomly these days. So on the bad android servant of the main villain, just having this martial arts fight with Kay, Ryan Gosling's main character, on this beach behind this giant wall. They're just like, they know all these weird martial arts moves and stuff, and it seems very strange to me. There's a much more realistic, I guess, slightly, fight earlier on in the film where Harrison Ford basically just punches Kay repetitively, but that's very strange. It's done in a room where there's a glitching Elvis Presley hologram on a stage trying to sing, and then it cuts out, and then it comes back, and that's hiding Harrison Ford's gunshots as he tries to shoot Kay, because Kay's come into his house unannounced. I really kind of wish Harrison Ford was wearing his leather jacket there, because the way he moves and the way it's shot looks like he's the silent kind of Blade Runner assassin, that silhouette hunting Ryan Gosling through the corridors like you imagine Blade Runner should do. But yeah, Ryan Gosling gets a gun off him, and then Ryan Gosling's like, no, I don't actually want to fight you, and then Harrison Ford just like punches him like Indiana Jones style, James Bond style, like old fighting, no stylized martial arts stuff. But he's just punching him, and Ryan Gosling's like, no, I don't want to fight you, so he takes the punches. And then they just stand there staring at each other and go, do you want to get a beer? Do you want to get a whiskey? It's kind of, I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like it because of the weird audio glitching thing in the background. Messes with the rhythms, like, it's not a scene that I remember very easily. I don't like the glitching and the way it fucks with the rhythm. I'd rather it be some kind of moody, slow build-up music, but that's just personal taste, I guess. There's an awful lot of female nudity in this picture. Not that that's necessarily a problem on its own. I guess I'd rather there was less of that, or you equalised it by having the male nudity as well. It's just like, if I remember, there's only one like male nude scene where and it's just like the corpse of the android who's been killed at the beginning in a morgue. So there's that, and that's like the only male nudity. And then for all the females, there's shit tons of female nudity in this film. I don't get it. It's like overly excessive. And despite that, when there's an actual sex scene, there's no nudity. It's just like shoulder shot. It's like cut off there and then cut before there's a sex scene. But there's loads of like statues at the end that are just naked women. And there's a point where I think Kay's character is commanding his drone that comes out the top of his police car to go scanning for Harrison Ford. And he's like, zoom in over there. Oh yeah, that's good. Now pan up. Oh yeah, that's good. Pan right, zoom in. Oh yeah, and it's just zoomed in on the statue's boobs, and then this like lady statue, and it's kind of a weird scene because the drone isn't actually behaving in response to his commands. It's like pan up, stop, go forward. And he's like stop, and the drone's still going forward. It's like pan up, and the drone's like panning up, but is moving forward and to the side at the same time. It's like, why are you giving this drone commands if it can't follow them? It's kind of there's a big disconnect there, I think. And it's for no reason at all because the drone just like turns away and flies off after that. It's like there's no functional reason why that was in the movie, other than to have another nude image. It's just strange. I mean, I prefer it when there's a purpose to it. Like, I don't mind. I mean, nudity's fine in films, but I would have preferred to have the nudity in the sex scene and then not in the rest of the movie. Oh, and for the born clone that drops out of the sack thing. But the rest of the movie is like got gratuitous. Yeah, I don't get that. There's a really interesting but confusing subplot where, I mean, Kay's Blade Runner, Ryan Gosling's Blade Runner, is different from. Should we say it's different from Deckard in that? Okay, it might be the same as Deckard. Anyway, he's definitely a replicant, basically. He's like a second generation replicant, and so he's a robot. And I like the scenes with him and his boss where they're talking to each other, and she's like really curious about him and like wants to ask about his implanted memories and what he feels about them, and try and get some emotion out of him, or some fake emotion, whatever you want, because obviously he's not really conscious. There are tools, and I don't know why people use the word soul and consciousness interchangeably, because I think of soul as a spiritualist, religious thing, like there's a spirit inside you, and I think consciousness is like the factual scientific thing. Every human has a point of view, you know, it's what solipsism is based on, that movement where everyone thinks maybe you're in a computer game and you're the only real one and every other person is fake, because how can you prove other people have consciousness? How can you prove your best friend has dreams? I mean, you could say they've got REM sleep, like rapid eye movement sleep, and that's scientifically meant to be a proof of dreaming, or neurons firing when you link them up to electrical, whatever scientists do to judge that brain activity is working with electricity. But you can't know for sure that those signs add up to the person is thinking and dreaming in the same way as you do. So that's consciousness for me. The police boss, I think she uses that interchangeably. She says to Ryan Gosling's character, "You don't have a soul," you know. So I wouldn't have phrased it that way, but I think that's what she was getting at. They're just kind of tools, the replicants, to me. You know, that's what I think of all robots is, we don't know the secret of consciousness, so we can't create it, so therefore all robots are tools, you know. This is a robot. This is a robot, a hammer's a robot. And then a machine that looks exactly like a human and acts exactly like a human and can be programmed to do things. That's a tool too. And so is, you know, every replicant to me in this film. So I agree with the police boss, and she has these nice talks with Ryan Gosling's character about, like, you seem so real, but I know you're not, basically. And the weird subplot of the movie is that he's a robot. When he goes home, for some reason, his idea of love and marriage is that this robot has been given a holographic, like in Japan, you know, people get married to pillows now, like with anime characters on the front, and they get married to themselves, and they get married to random objects, and they have all these weird fake relationships, basically. Like they get married to an anime cartoon character that they have on their computer at home, and they have actual ceremonies for it and shit. It's like that, except they haven't given this holographic, fake, programmed girlfriend to a human. They've given it to a robot. So it's an extra layer of fakeness. Like, the fake thing you've created, what fake thing can we create for it? You know, so simulation and simulacra, like the Matrix. Like, can we give this fake thing a fake thing? Can we give that fake thing a fake thing? Is there a fake thing we can give to that fake thing that's got a fake thing? I think it just goes on and on, like weakened VHS copies or something. Every time you record something over a VHS video, the quality degrades, and then you do it again over the top of that, and the quality degrades again. It gets fuzzier and fuzzier and worse until the tape's just basically unusable. You can't see anything. Like, a lot of films talk about cloning in that way. Like, if you clone yourself, and you clone that clone, and you clone that clone, and you clone that clone, you just end up with this diseased, destroyed, non-human who is, I mean, the second clone might have looked exactly like the original, but they would have had tiny degradations in them, and then the third clone, those degradations start taking over, and the humans not really, it's getting way away from the first and getting worse and worse. And that's kind of what I feel about all kind of these kind of fakenesses, like fake versions of things, and it's really interesting to think about. It's very difficult to describe what you mean when you're talking about it, and we don't really have any real life analogues. I don't know if cloning in real life works like that. It's a very sci-fi concept. I mean, we don't really have any real life versions of that to draw knowledge from. Anyway, I'll just leave it there for now because this video is going to be very long. I haven't done the plot by plot synopsis of what exactly happened in this. I just kind of brought up scenes that I remember. I think that's probably a better way of doing reviews, but I might do the other style when I go and see the next Star Wars, which I may or may not see. I think I'll see it. I don't think I'll like it, but I think I'll see it at Christmas, which we just got a trailer for The Last Jedi. It's not real Star Wars, man. It's not the EU. It's not real Star Wars, but I'll go and see it. And as a spin-off, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, that was what I thought of Blade Runner 2. I better leave now, else I'll be late for my train. Bye.